It's a really special day for myself and certainly my son Marshall, who's running around right here, and Johnny and my wife Sarah, and we're all so excited to be here in Indianapolis and to be part of this Colts organization. It's an organization that has a long lineage of incredible quarterback play. Starting with Johnny Unitas, an award that I was fortunate enough to win when I was in college and got to meet his family. And it's amazing to be here almost 15 years later, sitting in the place where he started, obviously a different city, but the same organization. And then to follow in the footsteps of Peyton Manning, who for me growing up was exactly who I wanted to be. And I've gotten the chance to get to know him during my career, and there's not a better representative for this organization and one other than him, and not a better mentor I could have asked to have had than him. He's been incredibly kind to myself and Sarah. I know all about Andrew Luck as well, played against him, unbelievable competitor. And then, another guy in Phillip Rivers that I had to go against throughout my career came in here and had an amazing year when he played here. And so I'm very excited to be here, number one, and humbled by the caliber of play that there's been in this organization. I'm also coming from a place that I was really, really fortunate to have been for 14 years. And, I want to start by thanking everyone in the Falcons organization, starting with Arthur Blank, for the incredible opportunity that I had to play there for the last 14 seasons. And it's bittersweet for sure, because, I look around and I got to meet so many people in this building today, and you can tell that this is a really well-run, tight-knit group. And that's one I'm leaving as well. Guys that, men and women that, for 14 years, bent over backwards to do everything they could to help me professionally and also help me personally. And for that, I'm incredibly, thankful and really appreciative of my time there. And it's sad to see it end. But I am so excited to see what can happen here and what this team and organization is all about. And it's a really exciting day for me and my family, and we're just so happy to be here. I thank everyone for coming out. And I suppose with that, Matt, I'll open it up to questions.
Hey, Matt, welcome to Indy. I imagine a week ago at this time, you didn't expect to be sitting here. From your end, how did the last week play out, and what were your conversations like with the Falcons, and how did you get to this point?
It's definitely been a whirlwind of a week for sure on my end. And I suppose, this time last week, we didn't know, how it was going to shake out. I've never really, throughout my career talked about what goes on in the building. I've always felt like you protect, the organization, the team, and all those things. And, I've also been fortunate that I've never been through a transaction or a roster move, which is commonplace and day-to-day for the majority of the locker room. And so it was a different week. It was a different experience. I thought, I'm not naive. I understand how this business works and that there's going to be movement. And so from the time it started last week until we sit here today, I thought everybody handled things professionally. I didn't like everything I heard, but you don't always like what you hear sometimes. But they were professional and handled it really well. I knew at some point I was going to need to make a decision on whether or not I wanted to stay. And as I looked into it, I knew there was only one spot I wanted to go. And there was no doubt that if I were to make a move, this is exactly where I want it to be. And there are a lot of things that have to happen in order for that to go down. And I'm thankful for, the belief from Mr. Irsay and his family, from Chris Ballard and his staff, and Frank and his coaching staff, and also the Falcons organization being understanding of me wanting to go in another direction. And I'm just thankful that everything worked out the way it did, and I'm here today.
Matt, you alluded to it. After 14 years in Atlanta, had you sort of settled in your mind that maybe you could finish there, or had you looked around and Tom Brady and Peyton Manning and things changed? This wasn't your decision to start with.
Yeah, it was not, and I guess, some part of you, for sure. I had been there, and loved every minute of it, there's no question about it, and worked really hard to try and do everything I could do to help them win. And at the same time, understood whether it was this year, next year, or whenever, there might be a time where something different happens. And so, you talk about it with Tom Brady or Peyton or any of those guys, they've had times where they've had to transition, and both of them have had tremendous success with that. And that kind of, in the back of my mind, that's what I'm thinking about right now is, this opportunity that I have for, the rest of my career to try and catch that spark and go. And, I'm coming into a building that has been set up extremely well, and a roster that has been set up to win. And they've done a great job of putting that together. And I am so fired up to get to work and be able to, get on the field with these guys and try and do my part to help this team win as many games as we can.
Hey, Matt, welcome. I'm wondering if you can specify, was staying in Atlanta an option? Was that part of this process in your hands at all? And you talked about that decision that you made to stay or go. Can you kind of walk us through just kind of what crystallized it for you, if that was in fact, a decision you made?
Yes, definitely. At first I didn't know, because at first I didn't know if it was going to be, if we were going to be forced into a trade because of how things shook up. But the way that they did, ultimately it came down to a decision between either staying in Atlanta or coming here to Indianapolis. And what sold me, I was able to have a meeting with Chris Ballard and Frank, Marcus Brady, Parks Frazier, all those guys on Saturday night. And their passion, their commitment, their professionalism, the accountability Chris has for himself and what he does, the empathy Frank has for my situation of understanding you've been in a certain spot and done it one way, and don't ever forget that. It's an incredible part of it. But this next chapter can be even better. It was a really, really cool meeting for me to take. And then I had to sit down with my family and say, okay, what makes the most sense for us? And I just knew with the roster that they talked about, their belief in the players that they have here, the belief in the way that they do things, the time was just right for me. And I felt like I needed to do it. And I came downstairs. I was up in our house, and I was in my office, and I came downstairs, and my wife was like, you look different, you look at, and so I knew kind of at that point that was the direction, we wanted to go, and took some time to really think it through and discuss it, and when we did, we came to that conclusion.
Welcome to town.
Thank you.
Leadership has been a big topic around here in the locker room. What is your style of leadership in that locker room?
Yeah, I think, to me, leadership is about serving your teammates. And, the one thing that I've learned in 14 years is what certain guys need from you is different. What each team that you're on needs from you as a player or as a leader is different. You have to get to know your guys. You have to get to know your teammates really well, and how they tick and how they need to be motivated, and what are the things that you can help them with to bring out the best in themselves. And that's going to be, a really exciting challenge for me, is to try and get to know this group of guys in this locker room this coaching staff as best I can and figure out how I work in that and what are the things I can bring into it. I've always believed that you need to be flexible in your leadership, that you need to you need to kind of read the room, for lack of a better term, but you better be principled. You know, there have to be things that are non-negotiable, that you believe in, how you do things, how you work, that come through and show through to other people. But I've definitely been flexible throughout my career, and certainly at a different point now than I was at 23 or 24, you know, with the experience that I have.
Matt, a couple years ago, Phillip Rivers came in here and said he was rejuvenated, excited at a fresh start for him. He knew the offense. He worked with Frank Reich for quite some time. What is your take on a fresh start and the rejuvenation that it brings to your career, and what will it be like learning a new offense?
Well, I've had some different coaches in Atlanta. You know, it's not like I had one run there. So I had 3 different coaches during my time in Atlanta, and probably, I want to say 6 offensive coordinators. You know, so I've learned some new offenses in my time, and learned, you know, how it works best to do it. I've watched, you know, being in the NFC when Frank was in Philadelphia and what they did there. I've seen a lot of what they've done. But when you look at Frank too, which is so interesting to me, is they morph, right? Depending on how he sees things, the players that he has, and what they're doing. So I feel confident that, you know, I'll be able to learn it pretty quickly. There's certainly going to be bumps in the road. There always is, learning something new, working with somebody new. But I'm pretty confident, you know, that we'll be able to do that, and I'm excited about it. And I think part of that rejuvenates you too. It's that I'm curious, and you always want to learn. And I can't wait to start, you know, getting in this building and working with these guys and getting on the same page.
Hey, Matt, congratulations.
Thank you.
The last 2 Super Bowl champions led by veteran quarterbacks in the first year with the new team, and also we're seeing more and more guys play at a high level into their 40s. When you see those 2 things and realize the landscape, what kind of confidence does that give you, knowing that roadmap is already out there?
Yeah, it looks pretty good. You know, the roadmap looks really good. And what Matthew Stafford did in LA last year, you know, making that transition, playing so well, and what Tom did, you know, I saw that firsthand in division the year before. Hopefully, you know, we bottle up some of that momentum and we can make a push here. I really believe we can. I think this roster is built really well. They're sound across the board, built with, you know, really high character football players, guys who work hard. I mean, it's amazing to me in sending a bunch of texts and talking to some guys yesterday, just back and forth, how much they care about winning. You know, in every one of their first text messages, it was about winning. And that's unique. You know, it really is, and that fires me up. So I hope we can, you know, like I said, ride that trend that's been going on and make it work for us.
Other than you know, talking to Frank Reich before games as opponents over the last couple of years, did you guys have much of a relationship before you met on Saturday night? And then I think 2 years left on your contract. Is that sort of the expectation you're walking in with? 2 years, and then we'll see, or where do you land on that?
Yeah, I'll start with the relationship first. That kind of is. I know a lot of people that know Frank. You know, the football world is you know, it's small, and so there are not that many degrees of separation between people. I think that I'd always heard positive things. I had a teammate who was a coach of mine last year, who was a teammate earlier in my career that worked with Frank in Philadelphia, and just raved about him. One of the smartest, most level-headed guys you'll ever be around. And you know, that's certainly the review I got from the people I reached out to talk to about this, and certainly the review you get from every player I've talked to on this team. So I'm excited about that. I got the chance to talk with Coach earlier today, and he was so nice to me and my family, and so ready to get to work. So I'm fired up about that. As far as expectation to play, you know, I've said from the start, I'd like to play as long as I can. I feel really good. My body feels really good. I still feel like I can play at as high a level as I ever have. And As long as that is, nobody has a crystal ball to know exactly how long it's going to be, but as long as I feel good and feel like I can play well, I'm gonna try and play.
Matt, I believe you've had a relationship with Matt Stafford over the years. Will you talk to him at all in this process? Kind of similar to what you went through last year?
Absolutely. Yeah, I've known Matthew for a long time, and he's been a great friend for a long time, and I think you lean on guys like that, on different guys that have gone through transitions, to talk to them about some of the things that come up. I think you can learn a lot from guys who have done similar type things before you, and he certainly navigated it really well last year.
Matt, I know you talked about how this has just kind of come together in the last week or so, but just with how things have progressed in your career and in your age, was this in your mind at all just the past few years about what a possible next step might be, or how much longer there would be, or did it just truly all come together last week for you?
Here's the thing. You know the league really well when you're in it, and so you know what teams are good and what teams might not be as talented, what rosters look like. You know who needs what positions. It's certainly well reported, so we certainly hear about it a lot. So kind of what the situations are around the league. For me, I always said I was committed to the organization that I was with, 100%. And the circumstances changed. And that's just, the reality of life and the reality of this business. When the circumstances did change, again, understanding the landscape of what the league looked like at that time, to me, there was only one place. And I'm so excited to be here. I've been watching, what this team has done the last 3 or 4 years in building and getting better, and really feel like, it was the kind of place you would want to come in the position that I'm in. And I'm really excited to be here.
Hey, brother, this question's coming from Pat McAfee.
Oh, okay. I couldn't tell.
Yeah. So he says, Matt, thanks for coming to Indy. You're the best.
I like where this is headed.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good start.
What do you know about Jonathan Taylor?
He's a beast. He's an absolute beast. We played Buffalo. When I was in Atlanta last year, we played Buffalo late in the season. And so getting ready for them, we watched one of the games where Indy had played against them. And I was like, man, they ran the ball pretty good, against good defense. So let me pop on a few more, let me pop on and see what they're doing maybe on the offense, because in the middle of the season, we're rolling, right? You guys were rolling here. So I got a chance to take a peek at some of what he did last year, and he's special. I really do think he's special. I think he runs the ball extremely well. He's got great vision, great balance, good speed, good power, catches the ball well out of the backfield, willing in pass protection. I had lunch with Quentin and Ryan Kelly today, and they talk about how he's willing and smart in pass protection. I've been around a long time. You don't get backs that do all of that very often. And when they do, they're game changers. And so I'm fired up to play with him. I really am. Sent him that text message yesterday and said, I can't wait to get the chance and opportunity to play with him.
All right, take a couple more. Matt, over here. We talked about this a little bit a few minutes ago, but just with all the quarterback movement the last few years, you've been in the league long enough to see that probably wasn't like that, I guess. And when you came into the league, this is more of a recent phenomenon.
Yeah.
Just as an observer, what do you think about it? And just does it seem pretty amazing to you as well?
Yeah. My wife tells me that all the time. She's like, you still think about the NFL like it's 2010. It's different, and it definitely is. But everything changes. Times evolve. The business side of this has evolved. The free agency part of it has evolved, and it's going to continue to. I just feel like I'm so lucky to have played during the time that I did and had the opportunity that I did, to have been at one organization for such a long time, to create such great roots there. that was special. But it's also special to go somewhere new and to see something different and to meet new people and to learn new things and to have an opportunity to win football games with an awesome group of guys in that locker room. Like, maybe that's a good part of it too. And it might not have been the case 15, 20 years ago. So I'm excited about that part of it as well.
You called Peyton Manning a mentor. What are some of your takeaways from learning from him over the years, and did you talk to him about this opportunity before coming here?
Well, I'll tell you, I remember in Atlanta when we won the NFC Championship in 2016, so it would have been 17, January 17. We left the stadium, we went to dinner, and I was at dinner with my family, we were kind of celebrating. The first call I got was from Peyton, and he was like, all right, here's how you're going to map out your 2 weeks. And I'm like, man, we just won this game, right? Like, I'm just trying to enjoy it. And, I mean, you guys all know really well of his level of preparation and planning. But I just remember being like, man, he's like a step ahead of me on the preparation part of it, of getting ready for that Super Bowl 2 weeks. But he was so kind. His wife, Ashley, was so kind to my wife, of giving her advice on what we should do in regards to this week, in that case, and in different cases throughout my career. And so he's the best. He is. He's one of the best players in the history of our game, and I'm certainly lucky that I've had a relationship that's been strong enough that he would help me in certain situations.
Yeah, Matt, two things. You met when you said you talked with Frank and Chris on Saturday. I assume Zoom.
Yes, it was a Zoom. Yes.
I didn't know if they flew down there or flew you up or whatever.
Yep, Zoom.
But also, if you look around the way that the quarterbacks have sort of migrated, AFC has all these young guys, the Burrows and Allens and all this, and now you're injecting your veteran presence in there. Do you feel sort of like the other end of the spectrum on that?
Well, it's funny. I played in a division that it was Tom Brady, Drew Brees, and then me, at one point. And I was like, I think maybe 35 at the time when I was doing that. And I was like, no, I feel young. Tom's like 43 and Drew's 41. I like I'm still pretty young. It definitely changes, quickly. But I feel good. I really do. My body feels great. I feel like I've gotten into a space where I know how to take care of myself. I know what I need to do in order to train. I know the support staff here and the sports science department here is probably as good as any in the league, and I'm curious to learn from them as well. But I feel great, and so I don't feel like an old man. I've got twin 4-year-old boys that keep me fresh. Yeah. No, I feel good. I feel really good.
Last one, QB. Matt, I don't know if you're a goal guy, but if you are, what are your goals here? However long you're going to play here, team, individual-wise, what is on that list? I
think it's to be, number one, the best teammate I can be, every day in this building, and do the work that I need to do in order to help us win. I understand I'm one part of this wheel, and I need to pull my weight and do my job really well. But it's a pretty strong wheel that has been built, and so that's kind of it. Be a great teammate, do the best I can, and help them go, and then. Whatever I need to do to help the guys, achieve whatever the goals are of, the team. And for me, that's winning a championship and trying to do everything I can, during my time left to go find a way to get that done. And I'm telling you, you talk to the guys in this locker room just from the start, and there's a lot of guys that it's about winning, and it's about winning big and doing it the right way. And it excites me to be a part of that. But that's the goal, is to try and win.